What's up, everybody? It's Chicago Goon here, bringing another Arsenal talk. Uh, there you have it. Theater of dreams turned into theater of nightmares, and I mean, what a great game just to watch in general. But I'm going to start this Arsenal talk off um, with my man of the match. You see some of the title. It's not Danny Welbeck. It's not Monreal with the first goal. Danny Welbeck got the game winner. It's not Francis Coquelin for being just every fucking where. It's not Santi Cazorla for being everywhere. It's not for any of the Arsenal players who just busted their ass today. The man of the match, who deserves to be recognized, is of course not just one single person. It's the 9,000 strong that showed up at Old Trafford today. It is the away fans of Arsenal. Before the match even started, they pan down onto the field and, like they normally do before a match, before the players come out, and you could hear the fans. First off, too, 9,000 fans. 9,000. They said it might have been up to close to 10,000. That's unheard of for any type of match, for any type of away match, unless you're playing, a cup final at Wembley. Where you have half and half, where it's basically like 50-50 almost. That's kind of unheard of, especially for an FA Cup match. I know if it's the FA Cup quarterfinals, you almost kind of have to wonder too. Was Manchester United, could they not sell it out? So they allocated more tickets to Arsenal for the away fans. Again, 9,000, 10,000 strong, and you could hear them right in the beginning, before the game even started, throughout the entire game, every single song, loud and clear. The away fans were out singing. 9,000 people were out singing. Like 65,000. I think the final attendance was something like 74,000 and change. So they outsung 65,000 ManU fans. Amazing. If anybody kept the players going to the very last second, it was the away fans. Again, loud and clear, every single song. You have to stand up and applaud them. You have to, go on Twitter, say thank you. They're fucking amazing. Especially the one song of Danny Welbeck. He left because you're shit. He left because you're shit. Danny Welbeck. He left because you're shit. That came in loud and clear on my TV. I even reversed it on the the DVR and just like listened to that a few times, and they sung that at the end of the game as well. Those ManU fans must have felt like total dog shit. It's not their fault that obviously Louis van Gaal, Ryan Giggs, and company who shipped Danny Welbeck out the door because he said he wasn't Manchester United. He wasn't up to Manchester United standards, that he couldn't score enough goals. Well, he scored the game winner against you. But again, those away fans, you just can't say enough about them. The best away fans in the BPL, hands down. You can't touch them. Those, men and women who come to who travel far. They traveled all the way up to the Northwest. If you follow even, Arsenal Fan TV, I saw a tweet. It was at like 10:30 my time, which would be somewhere around like 5:30 their time. That he just got home at 5:30 in the morning over there from the United game. That's just dedication. That's passion. That's the love that those fans have to travel all up that way and support the team, and to give those guys an extra boost, and they did. You could see it. You could see it throughout the entire game that not one Arsenal player stopped. They kept running. They kept on pressing the ball. They kept on trying to get the ball back. It was just amazing. I can go on and on about how incredible the away fans were today. And again, my man of the match right there are the away fans. To go on to the rest of the game, It was even leading up to the game, it was just, a nervous excitement. Um, Being nervous just in general, just because of the fact that we haven't won at Old Trafford since '09. Our last, what is it, like something like 15, 20 fixtures against Manchester United just have not been good at all. And to go up there and to get a win in the FA Cup quarterfinals, to knock them out of the FA Cup, you know, next to us, I mean, us and Manchester United are tied, 11 total trophies with the FA Cup, and to be able to just knock them out, and you know, again with those away fans rubbing in every single Manchester United fan's face, and just being 10 times as loud as they were, just great. Starting off the match, I mean, the first half was end-to-end craziness. Um, a lot on Arsenal's too. I mean, they were just you could see the pace and the power and I mean of how they got after it, of what they were trying to create. You could see a goal coming somewhere, whether it was from like Alexis Sanchez or even Danny Welbeck, or someone was going to break through for Arsenal, because it was there. It was there for the taking. And of course, Monreal got the first goal. Like the most unlikely person that you would ever think that would score a goal. And if you ever saw the finishing, I mean, the finish was very composed, very calm. I mean, it was a beautiful finish by Monreal. Onside, there was no kind of complaints whatsoever that you could say that he was offsides. Again, a composed finish. I mean, if you ever seen Monreal try to finish before, or even Gibbs, or any fullback for that matter, um, that's why they're fullbacks, because they can't finish. But that finish was amazing. Again, from the most unlikely source on the pitch at the time, um, and it was just a great goal. It just gave us that boost. You just thought, okay, here we go. Let's go. Let's just like take this game by the horns, and let's just, like I said in my last episode, let's kick it in the fucking balls and take the life out of them. But then again, 5 minutes later, that cross by Di Maria was ridiculous. The pace on that ball, the curve on the ball, were just curved at the very last second. The heading effort by Rooney. Um, I mean, that was a ridiculous world class cross. Hate Manchester United all you want, but you have to really just tip your hat to that one, because that was just freaking ridiculous. Could we have defended it better? Pretty much, yeah. I think we got out of position just because Alexis Sanchez kind of went to ground and slid, and that kind of gave a little bit of an opening to Di Maria. Per Mertesacker was trying to cover Fellaini on the far post. When you kind of see that kind of, you can't give Wayne Rooney that much space. He's not the fastest player in the world, but he's one of the better players in the world because of his positioning and his awareness on the pitch. And him and Di Maria were just like in sync on that. On that cross, he knew exactly what Di Maria was going to do. He knew exactly where he was going to put it. Di Maria knew exactly where Wayne Rooney was running to. Could Per Mertesacker stepped in and deflected it somehow, some way, defended it better? Probably. When you see something like that, when you see that's given that much space by Arsenal in the back line and between Koscielny and Mertesacker, one guy has to sell out and cover for the other, and not even bother about the far post, because they're obviously going in the middle when you're giving that much space to Wayne Rooney. But again, that cross was just ridiculous. But going through the rest of the half, it was just box to box, endless amounts of entertainment, endless amounts of excitement going throughout the first half. Early in the game, you saw a challenge which got him a yellow card, was Hector Bellerin, and he went in hard. It was, if I'm going to miss the ball, I'm going to take Ashley Young's legs out. And it was a different type of Arsenal that we saw today. it was not a soft Arsenal. When we made fouls, we hit them hard. Uh, was it any intentions of trying to hurt ManU players? No, but it was a professional foul, but a foul that said, you know what, we're here, we're not playing soft today. We're going to be playing as hard as we possibly can, and that's what they exactly did. I think it caught Michael Oliver. I'll get into that a little bit later. I think it caught him up by surprise because he couldn't control the game whatsoever. Fouls were flying all over the place in this game. I mean, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a classic, Vieira and Keane matchup, and the late '90s, early 2000s, where I mean, those guys were just crunching tackles and purposely taking people out. It wasn't anything like that, but it was a hard-fought, physical match between both sides. More so for Arsenal than it was for Manchester United. And I think that surprised. I think that caught Manchester United off their game completely, because Arsenal's not really, at least in this day and age, at least in this 2015, even over the last like maybe 4 or 5 years, we haven't been a very physical team at all. We haven't played physical at all. We don't, that's not our style anymore. Was it our style in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s? Yeah, but that's not our style anymore. But we came out and we played physical. We stood our ground. We made some good tackles, but we made some kind of dopey tackles. But we made sure that we let them know that we're here, and it was great to see that. It really was. It was great to see even Danny Welbeck just taking some of his former teammates out. He was giving them the shoulder, knocking them down, making challenges. It was great to see. Going into the second half, started off a little bit slow. I think Manchester United wanted to really come out and start as fast as they tried to in the first half. I think Arsenal kind of said, let's weather the storm for the first 5 or 10 minutes. We know that Manchester United is going to come out guns blazing. Let's play calm. Let's play within ourselves, and let's just stay compact. Play a team-oriented defending for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and that's what we did. And it was kind of like we kind of like took the breath right out of Manchester United, because they were trying to do everything they possibly could in that game in the first like 5-10 minutes. And once they kind of wore out a little bit, once they kind of lost their legs, that's when we started to attack. That's when we started to gain a little bit more possession. We were just, throughout the entire game, you could just say that Arsenal was calm. They were comfortable in what we were doing. If you look at past games, it kind of looked like a version of the Man City game, but we held on to possession. We were able to make chances anytime we wanted to. But Danny Welbeck's goal, that's why you don't give up. That's why you run at the goalkeeper. That's why you run at defenders. You just don't give up. Of course, it was a huge mistake by, Szczesny, booted one literally almost all the way downfield. Took a little bit of a weird bounce. Phil Jones took it off his chest, tried to basically pass it off his chest to Valencia, and it took a weird bounce, and Valencia's pass back to De Gea was, it was a joke. It was so slow, and Danny Welbeck knew, he could see it, and he was just, balls out, running towards the ball as fast as he possibly could. Because again, goalkeepers, they're not the fastest players on the planet, and that's why you don't give up. He knew he was going to get there before De Gea was. He knew that De Gea was going to make some type of rash challenge. All he had to do was toe poke it, either to the right or left, and he was going to be, it was going to be a free opening, free goal, and that's exactly what happened. But again, that's why you don't give up. And for the one person, like I said in my last Arsenal talk, the one person that was going to play with a chip on his shoulder, who was going to be playing balls out for the entire time he was on the pitch was going to be Danny Welbeck, and that's what he did. He was getting slated a little bit in the first half by people on Twitter, and they were complaining about his positioning and his touch, but I didn't think he was that terrible as some Arsenal fans made him out to be. He was busting his ass out there. He was going after balls. He was going after he was going after De Gea. He was tracking back, trying to get the ball back. For maybe like some of the minor mistakes he was making, he made up for it every single time. You could see the energy that he had, the desire to show himself, have a good showing back at his old stomping ground at Old Trafford, and kind of show up the fans, show up Louis van Gaal, Ryan Giggs, whoever, every single person who shipped him out, who said he wasn't good enough, that he couldn't score goals. And again, that goal, that's why you don't give up, and he didn't give up. And storybook ending, honestly. It was kind of surprising though that he did celebrate. I don't know what made him celebrate. I think he said even before the game that he wasn't going to celebrate if he does score a goal. Maybe he got a little bit of the RVP treatment that we give RVP. Maybe during warm-ups, fans were just screaming at him, yelling at him, booing him, probably calling him every name in the book. And when that happens, when you're looking at the dumbass manager who was stupid enough to ship you out, why not? I think it's a lot different from when RVP left. Arsene Wenger didn't say anything bad about him. Teammates didn't really say anything bad about him. Coaches didn't say anything really bad about him. Former players didn't really say anything bad about him. The only thing that was negative towards RVP was coming from the fans, and that was it. And of course, almost every single time that I think the last 2 times he scored against us, he fucking celebrated. But Danny Welbeck celebrating, who knows? Maybe he got that treatment. But I think that was more of a celebration to, I'm sure if he could, he would hold up 2 middle fingers and right up to Louis van Gaal's face and say, suck it, And I don't mind it. I don't care. He should celebrate it. And for that to be the game winner, like I said, storybook ending. The rest of the game, like I said, it was just comfortable. It was. I listened to the second half on the radio, like Sirius XM, and the way they were describing the game, it is radio. They have to make it, a little more exciting than it really is. Looking back on it, and I mean, watching the second half on DVR, they really made it a lot more exciting than it actually was. They made Manchester United sound more dangerous than they actually weren't, because they're clueless. I mean, they were fucking clueless of what they actually want to do. It was just over the top balls, crosses. That was it. That's their game, and that was the entire game of what they were trying to do. They were trying to set up Fellaini, for Christ's sake. I mean, that guy is. Come on. So at least listening to it on the radio, it was like almost like sweating it out. But coming home and watching on DVR, yeah, they made it so much bigger than it actually was. The chances that Arsenal did have in the second half, which they had plenty of, it wasn't really coming across except for a couple chances. Santi Cazorla's, that if they didn't have De Gea, I'm sorry, Manchester United would be in the bottom half of the league right now if they didn't have him. Because without De Gea, that game is 4-1, maybe even 5-1. Alexis Sanchez had his chance at the end of the game. Santi Cazorla had his chance. Who had a chance? Well, Danny Welbeck had an early chance early in the game. It was kind of like a weak header, but that wasn't really much of a stop. But yeah, those 2 chances in the second half, though, by Santi and Alexis was, again, Manchester United would be bottom half of the league if they didn't have him, and they better give him every single penny that he wants. If he wants to make 150, 200,000 pounds a week, you better give it to him. Because I don't know if you'll find another better, young goalkeeper in the world right now. And if they lose him, good luck. Really, seriously, good luck. Because it's going to be tough to replace a kid like that. I know he got some shit last year, but again, even last year, it was the same way. Without De Gea last year, they probably would have finished in the bottom half of the league. He was making that many good saves. Is he making better saves this year? Yeah, it's maybe more of under a microscope just because of David Moyes got sacked. Louis van Gaal is now the manager. The list goes on. The storylines go on with Manchester United spending 150 some odd million pounds in the transfer window. Without him, because the back line, the back four, the back three, whatever you want to call it, is a shit show in United. I'm really surprised we didn't go more narrow though, especially in the first half. We were all wide. I mean, that's how we were starting our attack. That's how we almost ended our attack for the most part. I was surprised we didn't go more down the middle because Daley Blind and Herrera, not the best defensive midfielders that you can ask for. I mean, Herrera is more of a CM, but Blind, I mean, I was surprised. I mean, I'll just say that I was very surprised that we didn't go more narrow at times because people were screaming for Mesut Ozil to get into the game after the first half, and how can you get into the game when we're going wide the entire time? No one was really trying to get him the ball. He was making good runs. He was making himself open. He just wasn't getting the ball. Whether that was a tactic thing, whether that was the game plan for the first half, I don't know. But it seemed like it was because that's what we were doing. We were going to Alexis Sanchez. We were going to Oxlade-Chamberlain. Going back to that first goal with Monreal, the footwork on Chamberlain, oh my God. So much control, so much confidence. And going into that pass for Monreal and be able to pick him out. Starting with Ozil, then picking out Oxlade, then Oxlade making his moves and his little bit of a skill run there, and then picking out Monreal to be wide open for a goal like that. I mean, amazing. But like I said, like in the first half, it was wide. We weren't going narrow at all. In the second half, we started to go narrow, and that's when we started to really, open things up a little bit. Even after the Danny Welbeck goal, where things started to really open up for Arsenal a little bit more because they were pressing so many players so high up the pitch, especially even after Di Maria got sent off. I mean, they had 9 guys, almost every single player, past the halfway line. But we were making ourselves we should have scored a couple more goals if it wasn't for De Gea. Let's see what else is there to talk about. I mean, I can go into this and my complaints about the refs. Michael Oliver is considered by most the best referee in the BPL right now, which I would probably disagree with. I mean, he's okay. I don't know if I would call him the best. He's just okay to me because I've seen him, enough times to, take the opinion out that he still has a lot of work to do as far as a referee of how to call a game. He couldn't control that game. He didn't know what was going on. Like I said early on, I think it caught him by surprise of how physical that Arsenal was throughout the game. A lot of calls went our way. Some calls went Manchester United's way. Some calls didn't go Manchester United's way. It was kind of shocking of how the refereeing was a little bit, especially being at Old Trafford. Especially back in the days of Fergie. I mean, you basically had to beat Manchester United like 3-1, 3-0, and completely take the referee out of the game because the referee was always going to keep Manchester United in the game. I mean, that much is true. There's plenty of news articles out on that after Fergie retired of how referees were quote unquote scared of Ferguson, which is ridiculous in itself to even come out and say that as a referee. But the game was refereed very poorly. Again, he couldn't control the game. I was listening to it on the radio, and I didn't know this, but I guess they have a drinking game. Manchester United fans have a drinking game of every time that Fellaini gets a foul, they have to take a shot. And by the time I got in the car and started my way to work, here he had about like 6 fouls. They were counting them down. I mean, they were talking about it. Anytime that Fellaini touched the ball, they were talking about it. Anytime that he was making a foul, they were talking about it. How he didn't get sent off was, he had 8 fouls against him. They counted 8 fouls, and one of the sequences, he had 3 fouls in one sequence, but he only got called for one of the fouls. But they called it 8 fouls until he got his yellow card, which is ridiculous. Even if they're ticky-tack fouls, usually, by the norm, it's usually 4 or 5 fouls, depending on how severe. Of course, if it's a severe foul, it's an automatic, yellow. But 8 fouls. Think about that. 8 fouls. He was able to foul an Arsenal player 8 times before he got a yellow card, and he had 3 fouls after that. He had a total of 11 fouls on the game. One player, and he wasn't sent off. One player who should have been sent off was Hector Bellerin. How he wasn't sent off, he was fucking lucky. Maybe it's maybe Mertesacker or somebody from Arsenal got into Oliver's ear and said, look, Fellaini has this many fucking fouls. One, he doesn't have a yellow card, and 2, he's not sent off yet. You make that many fouls, even if it's 8 fouls, you should be sent off. Like I said, 4 to 5 fouls, you make another 3 fouls, 4 fouls, you should be sent off, period, for making that many fouls. But Hector Bellerin's, both challenges on the first one, of course, was a yellow card, straight yellow, right in the beginning of the game. And then in the second half, around, the second 62nd, 63rd minute, it was basically right after Welbeck's goal. And, he should have been sent off. If I'm going to be crucifying the refs and crucifying, things that don't go our way, like in my last episode, crucifying Friend for not calling a PK for Ozil. You got to call it both ways. You got to be fair. I have to be fair on this, and he should have been sent off. Another sequence which was crazy, if you really caught it, especially whether you're watching on TV or stream or it probably didn't come through. It definitely didn't come through on the radio. Was when Di Maria got sent off. Of course, he took a dive. The amount of dives. There's still. I don't understand Manchester United players. Maybe when Fergie was still their manager, they can get away with diving all the time. But even last year, they were getting flagged for simulation. In this game, what was there? Let's see. Ashley Young, I think he didn't get carded for a dive, but he was told not to dive. Di Maria, of course, got sent off because of his stupid antics. Januzaj got carded for simulation. How stupid are some of these players? You saw it, what 2 or 3 weeks ago against Preston North End, Rooney taking a dive. It's ridiculous. And of course, Di Maria couldn't hold his lunch. Grabs the back of Michael Oliver's shirt and tugs on it, and straight red card, sent him off. But the big thing that I noticed during that sequence was Francis Coquelin. He was going absolutely insane, to the point that Mertesacker had to hold him back. Szczesny had to hold him back. I think Koscielny even got in there and tried to hold him back. He was, flaming his hand up and telling him that he should be sent off and that he should get a yellow card. And I mean, he was going absolutely insane. And yeah, we were trying to hold him back. I mean, someone's got to explain to that kid. You got to control yourself a little bit, because if Michael Oliver really saw what he was doing, one, he probably should have got a yellow card for the way he was complaining, and two, what would have happened if Coughlin mistakenly, because he was blowing up, knocked right into the referee, knocked right into Michael Oliver? Guess what? Di Maria's off. Now Coughlin's off. And that would have been a disaster for us, because Coughlin was everywhere. I mean, he was amazing again for the umpteenth time this year already. Everywhere, every fucking where, making interceptions, making tackles, getting guys organized. The kid is just, he's kind of like Alexis Sanchez as a DM. He just doesn't stop running. He just has energy for days. But again, that sequence, someone has to explain it to him. Someone has to calm him down. Someone just has to pick his ass up and drag him away, because it could have went against us. We could have been playing 10 on 10 instead of 11 on 10, and that could have really screwed us. So someone has to really get in his ear, whether it's Arsene Wenger or one of the coaches or even some of the players, and tell him to calm his ass down, because that could have went against us, especially by the way he's acting. And I really don't care for players trying to tell the referee of how they should call a game and who should get a yellow card, who should get a red card. The only person that's allowed to talk to referee by the rules is the captains. That's it. You saw Wayne Rooney talking to Michael Oliver throughout the entire fucking game. Anytime there was a foul against, Arsenal, you saw Rooney right in his ear the entire time, trying to get cards getting thrown out at Arsenal players. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, honestly, of how players are trying to get referees and try to sell referees to give someone a card. So I wish that would kind of stop around the entire league, around the entire world, because everybody's kind of doing that. But to go into a few other players, like I said early on, Santi was everywhere. I mean, he was busting his ass today. I mean, that was like a mirror image of what he was doing against Man City. He was busting his ass. He was tracking back. He was just doing a little bit of everything today. He had that great opportunity where De Gea needed to make a world-class save to not get Santi on the score sheet. Santi made a couple nice passes. One to, I believe, Alexis Sanchez for, he had a chance as well. But he was everywhere as well. He was busting his ass up and down the pitch. They switched late, after Oxlade, got hurt, pulled a hamstring, another injury, another fucking muscular injury. But after he came on, Santi moved to the number 10. Ozil made it, moved over to the right wing. Of course, that didn't come over on the radio broadcast at all. Even in the first half, Ozil didn't really kind of inject himself into the game. Of course, he wasn't getting the ball that much, but anytime he did get the ball and he lost it, I mean, he tracked back and toe poked it almost every single time and got the ball back. I mean, it was only 2 or 3 times, but again, when he's doing that type of stuff, I mean, this team is starting to become like in sync with each other. That they're finally kind of selling out for each other. They understand what they need to do to really win the game. Again, was it the best game by Mesut Ozil? No. Was it the best game for Alexis Sanchez? No. But if they can play, I mean, if they can play like that and we can still go in there and win, who cares? We're going to be celebrating this win probably for the rest of the year. Again, we have to go back to Old Trafford. Second to last game of the season. Hopefully our position in the league is solidified so that we don't have to worry about that game. But will it matter? Who knows? It might decide maybe 3rd or 4th. You never know. Manchester United has a lot tougher schedule than we do. Basically, everybody just about has a tougher schedule than we do. Our final 10 games, it's doable. We have Liverpool at home, we have Chelsea at home, and then we have Manchester United away. But like I said in my last episode, this is a type of win you can go to Old Trafford and win. The Theater of Dreams. This is the type of win that can give you that kind of confidence to finish out the season strong. The draw was even today after the game. Arsenal is going to play the winner of Bradford City and Reading. Who they get, who cares? I can't. Well, for the second straight year, we're going to Wembley. For the second straight year, we're going to be playing a championship side. What is Bradford? A League One side? I believe they're League One. So it's either going to be a championship side or a League One side. So, but I think it was kind of set in stone already that they kind of want a Liverpool Arsenal final, or it was going to be Liverpool Manchester United final. Honestly, they probably wanted a Liverpool Manchester United final just because of the rivalry and just because it's Steven Gerrard's last game. But nonetheless, why wouldn't you want the best team that's left in the competition in the final? Liverpool and Arsenal is just as good, and that's what we're probably going to end up with. It would be fucking hilarious if Blackburn Rovers scrape out a victory at their place against Liverpool. That would be fucking hilarious. But again, this is the type of win that we can press forward. We can finish out the season. We can even go to Monaco with some hope and still win 3-0 because we have the talent to do it. I'll get into that, next week. This weekend after the West Ham game, we play West Ham on Saturday. I'll probably do a little West Ham review and then a little preview and give some little bit of hope of what we can possibly do when we go to Monaco in about a week and a half, a little less than a week and a half, about 9 days. 9 days from now we'll be playing Monaco for the second leg. But again, this is the type of game that'll give you that confidence that you can go there and win. And you can make up the aggregate score and make up the 3 away goals and win. We have the talent to do it. We just have to show that talent. Again, it's gonna be a crazy game, but I'll get into that though a little bit later. This has been going on long enough, and just a great day. Great to be part of the FA Cup. Any fan base that says the FA Cup doesn't matter anymore, it's because they got knocked out. It's because they haven't won it a long ass time. It's because they're not us right now. And again, back to back years going to Wembley, going to the semifinal. Let's hope we play better than we did last year. I think we will. You can kind of see just in the FA Cup, like this game, we've been there before. We played in the quarterfinals last year. We played in the semifinal. We played in the final. The odds are on us. Because we have that confidence, because we've been there, and that confidence has to keep on showing through, and the quality has to keep on showing through, because again, this is our only chance at silverware this season, and we got to take advantage of it. Simple as that. So leave your comments. What can we do from here? Does a game like this give us the confidence to go into Monaco and win? Does this give us the confidence to finish out the season in the top 3, possibly top 2? Just a great time. Again, to the away fans, tip my hat. You're fucking amazing. Keep it going, because it really drives the players, and you can tell. But this is it, and I will talk to you guys later.